Can I also ask you about another case, almost the exact opposite in terms of sentencing? A man who's called Sean Hogg, who's 21 now, but at the age of 17, he raped and repeatedly on a number of different days sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl in a park. He has walked free because the judge said he was too young, under new sentencing guidelines, under the age of 25. He was too young and it wouldn't be any purpose in sending him to jail. And he's given him just, this is mind-blowing, 270 hours of unpaid community service work for rape of a 13-year-old girl. Now, what do you make of this?
Well, I think on this occasion, the member of the Scottish judiciary that handed down what I believe is an unduly lenient sentence is clearly out of touch with the state of crime, and particularly sexual offences, in the UK. We have a staggeringly low rate of conviction for the offence of rape in the UK. And whilst this offender, Hogg, was 17 at the time, it just goes to show the judge is completely out of touch. Sentences are supposed to have a deterrent element in them. And I don't think that 270 hours of possibly picking up litter is going to reform this character sufficiently enough, nor will it send out a message loud and clear that the offence of rape and other sexual offences are utterly unacceptable and will not be tolerated.
And we know how few sex offences actually even get, well, depending on who gets arrested. We know how few get prosecuted. We know how few they actually get convicted. So if you are convicted and then you just get community service, I mean, if that was my 13-year-old daughter, what would I be thinking? I mean, what message have we, as we've said? I mean, that 270 hours community service, that's what I would expect for a speeding offence, or you know, or I don't know, some graffiti or something. Not for rape of a child. This is just extraordinary.
Our bodies are really the only true possession that is truly ours, and for a 13-year-old child to have her body so appallingly violated on a number of occasions, I think this sentence is completely out of kilter with the seriousness of the offending, and I'm sure that it will be appealed by the prosecuting authorities.
Yes.
And I hope that perhaps a wiser head from the Scottish judiciary will review this, take a look at it, and come to the decision that it was unduly lenient.
Absolutely. Just finally, I want to ask you also, I mean, again, this is... You've just got to wonder about these people. Now, we've seen cases in America, rather very high-profile cases of sort of disaster trolls, people who basically believe that, mass events like Sandy Hook, horrific shooting, a mass shooting there. These are just entirely made-up things, and they're just lies. And we have seen now an extraordinary case being brought by Manchester Arena bomb survivors. They filed a landmark legal action against a conspiracy theorist called Richard D. Hall, who he claimed that the attack on them was faked. They're suing him for defamation and harassment. Both of them, this is Martin and Eve Hibbert, have been left with very severe disabilities. People often forget we talk about those who died in that horrific attack, 22 people in 2017, but actually hundreds of people were really severely injured as well. He's paralysed from the waist down. His daughter left severely disabled as well. And this man, this conspiracy theorist, claims that basically, yeah, it's all a big lie and it was completely faked. I mean, I hope they take him to the cleaners.
Yes, and perhaps there might be a case for the criminal prosecuting authorities to pore over every word that this man has said, to see if there is some evidence of malicious communication, for example, that would fall under criminal legislation rather than the civil case. But setting that aside just for a moment, this dreadful, ghastly, murderous attack and the awful words that have been spoken about it since, I wish the litigants all the very best. And I do hope that, figuratively speaking, they can take him to the cleaners for whatever he might have.
Yeah, I mean, it is just such an extraordinary thing, because you're basically also telling people, oh, you're making up the fact that you're paralysed. This man goes and sits outside people's homes to watch whether they actually are paralysed or not. You're telling the people who lost their children, including 8-year-old Safi, that they're lying, that their child is alive or never existed, and that they're lying about their child having been murdered by this terrorist. I mean, this is what Alex Jones of InfoWars did, didn't he? Effectively making up these lies at the Sandy Hook families, where we had people who literally say they're great, the children's gravestones being damaged because people believed they were fake. It sort of adds insult to the most heinous injury someone could suffer.
It perpetuates the wickedness, as I see
Yes.
it. It continues causing hurt, pain, distress and upset to people who have already suffered unimaginable injuries and pain and loss at the hands of a truly, truly disturbed mind that blew all those people to death.
Absolutely. Peter Bleksley, always good to get your thoughts on all these stories. Former Metropolitan Police Detective, thank you very much.